Well, hello there, guys. Welcome to episode 8 of Ray's Sports News and Debates. Okay, in today's episode, I'm going to be giving you my prediction for the 2022 NBA Finals, featuring representing the East, the Boston Celtics, and representing the West, the Golden State Warriors. Okay, now both teams had a different path per se to the finals. I definitely feel like Boston had the harder route when it comes to getting into the finals, because they had to beat the Brooklyn Nets, and yeah, they were disappointing, but they still have KD and Kyrie. Then you have to go beat the defending champs, and Giannis in 7. Yeah, they didn't have Chris Middleton in that series, but that Bucks team is still great without Chris Middleton. And then to beat a very, very solid Miami Heat team in 7 games, got to give props to Boston. And then, the West, the Golden State Warriors, they beat Jokic in 5. And, Jokic and the Nuggets were never really going to touch them. Then they go to the second round, and they beat Memphis. They didn't have John Morant, who was Memphis's, really only star. Memphis has great role players, but yeah, they beat him in 6. So, and then they obviously beat Dallas in 5. Then again, Dallas, it's just Luka. If he can, make Luka struggle like they did in that series, he's only going to win one game. So, but this is hard, because I was discussing this last night. But you never know. It's one of those, you have a whole bunch of newbies, and you have a whole bunch of people who have been there before. Okay, Golden State has been in 6 out of the last 8 NBA Finals. Okay, Boston hasn't been there since 2010 or 2009, when they beat the Lakers. But this really could go either way. It really could, because they brought up a stat line when Golden State won that combined their players have 123 NBA Finals games and playoff games, and Boston had 0 before this season. None of their players have been in the NBA Finals before. Of course you got Steph, who's won 3 championships, Clay, who's won 3 championships, Draymond, who's won 3 championships, Steve Kerr, who's coached them to 3 championships. It's one of those, obviously I think Boston is the underdog, for sure. Because you have Steph, you got Clay, you got Draymond, you got Andrew Wiggins, you got Looney back there. And, but you look at this Boston team, they ain't no scrubs. You got the Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Smart, who I think is going to lock Clay down. I think that's going to be the matchup they put on him. To start off, and I think they'll put Brown on Curry. But, Jason Tatum, there's a reason he was first-team All-NBA this year. Had a great year, led Boston, to a great record, had a great postseason. And, him and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, that little, you can't really call it a super team because they're not really known for scoring. But, those 3, when they're healthy and they're all on, they're one of the hardest teams to beat. And this postseason really has proven that. So, and then, Golden State does have Jordan Poole, and Golden State's big 5 lineup is Curry, Poole, Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green playing the 5. I'm not sure how they're going to play Al Horford, if they're going to just put Draymond on him or this or that. But, Boston, you got Brown, you got Marcus Smart, you got Jason Tatum, you got Al Horford. Boston really doesn't get into their bench that deep. I mean, they'll have like maybe 2 or 3 players that they'll rotate, but really, Tatum and Brown really play the whole game. They get maybe 3 or 4 minutes rest. They got Williams too. Williams is a good defender, and the one thing I think that could give Boston the edge is all their guys can guard 1 through 5. Outside of Smart, I don't think he could guard a center, but I mean, Jason Tatum can play 1 through 5. Williams could play 1 through 5. Jaylen Brown could guard 1 through 4. So obviously, the Warriors are going to go pick and roll, try and get Clay and Steph and Andrew Wiggins open and Jordan Poole open, but these guys can guard anybody. So, they're just going to switch everything, and, you're just going to have to win your 1v1s. But I would say I'm going to go. I was saying this last night when I was talking to my mom about this. It's tough because I think my head is saying the Warriors, but my heart is saying the Celtics. I just personally think when you put like offense, defense, transition, rebounding, you put all that into a loop, I think the Celtics have the edge in everything. Celtics have the better defensive team. They have the better defensive players. And they have the better shooters so far in the postseason. And I know that's weird to say because, they got Steph and Clay. Well, really, this whole postseason, they really haven't shot the ball particularly well. I mean, Steph had his worst year shooting threes this year. His worst field goal percentage this year. Clay had his moments throughout the year. He would, drop 40 and then he would drop like 11 the next night. So, Andrew Wiggins has been probably the more consistent out of the 3. But Jordan Poole, I mean, this kid could be a star in a year or 2, man. I mean, he came from not being known at all to being one of the vocal points of this Warriors team. And it always boggles my mind to why he would play a lot and then he would play like 12 minutes. He'd play a lot and then he'd play 12 minutes. I'm like, this guy's like the second best shooter on your team this year. Like, why is he sitting on the bench? But I'm going to say Boston wins in 7. I do think it's going to be one of those where it goes back and forth almost every game. I think Boston is going to win game 1. I think it's going to be close. I think maybe like a 5-point game. Game 2, I think the Warriors come out with the mission statement. They win by 20. Really kind of shoot Boston out of the gym. And that's where the Warriors have the edge. The Warriors are going to have the edge. Like, if this becomes a shooting clinic, Golden State's going to win. Because they got a lot of people who can shoot the ball. And it's not that I don't think Boston can keep up. I just don't think they can keep up forever like Steph and Clay can. But game 3, I think the Warriors seal it in Boston. The Warriors go up 2-1. Then Boston obviously comes back just like Golden State did. They win game 2. It's tied 2-2. We're going back to Golden State for game 5, where I do think Golden State will pull out a tough nail-biter. I'm going to say they win game 5, 110-104, putting Boston on the brakes of elimination. Going into game 6. In game 6, Boston beats the living brakes off of Golden State. Beats them by 20. It's 3-3. It's going back to Golden State for a game 7, where I do think Boston figures out the formula to beat the Warriors 2 games in a row. I think they beat them in one of the more better NBA Finals game 7s. I think Boston wins 109, and I have Golden State at 107. So I do have the Boston Celtics winning this, which would give them their 18th championship, one above my Lakers. So it's hard for me to pick them because I want them to stay tied with the Lakers. But you know, I'm cool either way if one of these teams wins it. If Golden State wins it, that's another belt on Steph Curry's legacy. And I think if he wins Finals MVP, it definitely makes him a top 10 all-time player. Because he would have 4 rings, he would have 2 MVPs, one of them being ununanimous. Then he would have 4 championships, an NBA Finals MVP, a 14, 15-time All-Star. I think it's hard to keep him out of the top 10 at that point. But yeah, that's my predictions. I'm going to say Boston wins in 7. I think Tatum gets his first ring. But I think it's going to be one of the better NBA series. I think it's going to be like the finals last year. Except I think it's going to go 7. And it's going to be interesting to see how Boston plays the Warriors and how the Warriors play Boston. They did have a couple of regular season matchups. But that's in the regular season. I think that's the misconception a lot of people get about the playoffs is the regular season doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is what you do in that playoff game. So yeah, they have a little bit of tape on each other, but like I said, I'm gonna go Boston in 7 over the Golden State Warriors. But if the Warriors win, I'm like I said, I'm cool with it. Clay, Draymond, and Steph get their 4th ring. Steve Kerr gets his 4th ring as a coach. And he would, that would be like 7 rings total for Steve Kerr because he won 3 with Jordan. But yeah, that's it's gonna be my predictions for the NBA Finals, guys. Feel free, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. We are super close to 100 subscribers on the channel. Yeah, share this video to your friends. Tag your friends in the comments below. If there's anything you want to see debated on the channel, please let me know and I will get around to it. I just wanted to make sure I get my NBA Finals video out there. Thank you guys so much for all the continued love and support to the channel. It really does mean a lot to me, guys. So until the next time, guys, you have a good one, all right?